Hi, I'm Randy French, United States Army retired.
So, you have an issue with the Veterans Administration. You had approached the Veterans Administration to replace a lift chair in your house?
Yes, let me give you a little history. Back in 2016, 17 time frame, I don't know, maybe even 2015, the Veterans Administration, because of my disabilities, gave me a power lift chair. Well, this lift chair that I have, you know, since then is wearing out. Uh, there's shorts in the remote to make it go up and down. I get stuck in the chair often now. Plus, there's wood pieces sticking through the arms. I mean, it's just normal wear and tear of a chair. I got it through what was then called vocational rehab. They're located on Viscount or Westmoreland. I'm not sure which actual address it is. And I went back to them and I said, "Hey, I would like to see what I can do about getting this chair replaced. What are the steps?" This was well over a year ago I started this process. And it's gone back and forth. And, a guy did a home assessment again. His name is Calvin Turner. I think he's out of San Antonio or Houston or something like that. Determined that, yeah, I needed not only the lift chair, but I needed little rubber things to help me with the walker that I use sometimes coming in to the step of my door. He said it's probably about 12 inches long, and it measures to the height of the door for my front door, and then another one for the 4-inch step up onto the porch.
Okay.
And that went on and on and on and on, and then finally I get called in to sit on a scooter to do a test drive of a scooter, and I'm kind of like, why? And they said, because your doctor ordered one. I said, okay, but why? Because of your hip problems and your knee problems. And I said, yeah, but I'm probably not going to need one of these for many years to come. So lo and behold, I now have a scooter is probably, I don't know, $3,000-4,000 plus a special lift that goes on the back of my truck, which is probably another $1,000 to $2,000. I have no clue what these costs are because the VA don't tell me. And then this guy shows up on my door and says, "Here, I'm sent to get measurements for your ramps." So I'm thinking these little rubber ramps, like the one they put on the inside today, but it's also an aluminum ramp that sticks almost out to the street. So I've got this, I don't know, what's it cost? $3,000-4,000 aluminum ramp in front of my house now. None of it I've asked for. All I wanted to do is replace a unsafe lift chair.
So
What do I do?
you went to the VA for a lift chair, and the VA went and spent thousands of dollars for things you don't yet need at this stage in your life.
Correct.
I know we shouldn't ask, and you don't have to answer, but the reason for the lift chair, why do you need the lift chair?
Well, I have severe back problems, low back problems. I have hip problems on my right hip, and I've had, let's see, 3 surgeries on my right knee and 2 on my left.
Okay.
So that's why they determined I needed a lift chair. Now let me put something else on there. They did the home study. They know what my home looks like. I can't maneuver the damn scooter around inside my house. There's no room to park it. I mean, it's literally crazy. Now, I will take a brand new home from the VA if they want to build me a brand new custom home, but I doubt that's ever going to happen.
So, looking at the photos you sent talking about your home, this ramp pretty much bisects your whole entire front yard.
Yeah, it does. It goes from my front door some, I don't know, 15, 20 feet out. It leaves maybe 3 feet or 4 feet from the gate coming into the yard from the sidewalk.
So rather than, for example, like one I'm looking at right now, which says gray leather power lift chair, $495.99 at, of all places, Home Depot, they'd rather spend thousands of dollars for a scooter, a lift and carrying device that now attaches to your pickup truck, and a long aluminum ramp.
Correct.
What has the VA said to you when you've told them this isn't what I need? What I need is this chair.
Kind of got a deer in the headlight look. I mean, it's it's not it's comical if it wasn't so serious. The lady said, "Well, your doctor ordered it," and I was just flabbergasted. I said, "Okay."
And your doctor, what has your doctor said? Or has he even addressed the issue?
Hasn't addressed the issue. I've addressed the issue of trying to get the lift chair. They denied it, saying that something to the effect that the VA doesn't provide them anymore. Something about trying to reduce costs. You know, which would have been an okay answer for me altogether if they would have just come right out and told me that up front. But no, they tell me that after they give me all this other crap.
They spend thousands of dollars all in the pursuit of trying to reduce spending. That doesn't make sense to me. So, in an effort to reduce costs by saying they can't buy you the chair because we're reducing costs, that we don't do that anymore, costs too much money, because $500, of course, is infinitely smaller than what they spent on all these ramps. What is your desired outcome for this?
What has always been. Tell me that if you're going to give me a lift chair or not. If not, then I'll go fundraise the money somehow and buy my own lift chair.
And how do you feel about the VA ignoring your questions until after all of this was done? I mean, we can't understand what they're thinking. I'm going to reach out to them, but why answer that we don't do that anymore to save money after they spend all this money? It doesn't make sense.
Well, these are just answers. This answer isn't from the prosthetics department. It's from other providers. Uh, you know, the Voc Rehab people said, "Well, the VA said," and not the VA said, but prosthetics said, and they just go on and on. So it's basically hearsay. Well, prosthetics says they won't pay. Well, I heard they're not doing lift chairs again. I mean, that's typical of the VA. The VA is a systemic problem in itself.
Especially the one in El Paso, Texas.
Oh, El Paso, Texas has been rated the worst year after year after year. The new director supposedly is fixing things. I don't know. I haven't seen it. I've had nothing but problems with the VA. As a matter of fact, the mental health department has decided that I was automatically cured, even though I was going through exposure therapy and got cut off in the middle of it because of COVID. After COVID was over, I no longer needed it, and they said they're going to discharge me. And, oh, by the way, for further counseling, call the vet center. So they got a successful discharge from their mental health program, but they're telling me I need more counseling at the vet center because that doesn't count against their stats. I mean, little things like that. And you already know about me being sexually assaulted at the VA and how that was tried to be swept under the carpet. I mean, the El Paso VA has had nothing but problems since 2009, and I'm afraid to go there. I really am.
I think a lot of people are afraid to go there. Any final words? Like, if the VA is listening to this or reading this article, because we're going to send both to them. Any final words for the VA?
I think the final words for the El Paso VA is good management gets good results. Care for your people, they'll care for you. Okay? And the people will then care for the patients. If you're going to do something, do it. Say it. If you're not, be upfront and say it. Don't play, submit this paperwork and wait a couple months to hear back. I mean, all of this is basically customer service oriented. Second thing, for the VA in general, hire licensed doctors, not doctors that have lost their license, and make sure that you fund stuff. And if you do fund stuff, make sure it's spent appropriately. I mean, fraud, waste, and abuse. Now, I'm not saying I don't need a wheelchair ramp and a scooter and something 5 years from now, but I'm trying to be as mobile by myself as I can. How many other veterans are getting stuff like this that, they don't need? I've talked to another one that says, I got a scooter tucked away in my shed because I can't ride it around inside my house. I mean, practice common sense. That's what I'm asking the VA to do. We all make mistakes. The VA is going to make mistakes. But don't ride your horse saying your best thing, with your tainted surveys saying that everybody loves you when it's not true.
Perfect. There was something you said, and I needed to explain it, and I wanted to say it on the recording, and now I don't remember. Something you said the VA does.
Licensed doctors?
Licensed doctors. We should qualify that. Just for people who don't know, the VA and the military in general, you don't need to have a valid medical license issued by a state to practice. You just need to have had graduated medical school.
Yeah, like the case of my brother who has now an inoperable brain tumor because the brain surgeon or neurosurgeon or whatever title it was, who had lost his license in other states, was hired by the Iowa City VA, performed surgery claiming he took the tumor out when all he did was fish around in my brother's head a little bit, and then later admitted, no, I didn't take it out because, I decided not to. Well, the guy ended up in jail, not only for that, but other things. But, why are veterans suffering? Had the doctor told my brother he didn't take the tumor out 6 months earlier, in the words of the Mayo Clinic, they could have removed it, but now it's too late.
It just doesn't make sense. Hopefully we'll get some answers.